A radiant and kickstart morning to each one of you. I hope you all are in the pink of your health and the weekend vibes are already kicking in. Let's make it more powerful and motivational with today's live session. I, Mahima Sindhi, on behalf of the entire MMDU family, extend a hearty welcome to each one of you to our series of live sessions where we bring expert professionals and celebrated artists on board to share their pearls of wisdom and their juices of life experiences to learn from. In the words of Akita Hussain, the mightiest miracle is a strong positive mindset. They say positive thoughts are not just enough, they have to be supplemented by positive feelings and positive actions. Let us all hear the inspiring tale evidently showcasing the power of mindset and virtually taste the fruits of life voyage of none other than the director at Global Shared Service Organization, RAMBOL, a transformation and leadership mentor, Mr. Deepak Kumbhat. We will have Sir after a quick break. I would take the opportunity to formally introduce Sir once he joins us on screen, and then we'll get to know more about him. Meanwhile, can I have the audiences to tell me how?
पापा ये थोड़ा मेरी तरफ से।
ओ बेटा बाप को पैसे दे रहा है।
अरे नहीं पापा, इट्स जस्ट अ थैंक्स।
किस बात का?
वो आपने कहा था ना, कहाँ पढ़ना है वो फैसला बड़ा होता है। जिंदगी के 4 साल का सवाल नहीं, सवाल पूरी जिंदगी का है।
Maharishi Markandeshwar deemed to be University, Maulana Ambala, preparing you for the real world.
So we'll wait for Sir to get added on air, and then I will take the opportunity to formally introduce him. Meanwhile, can I get to know what, according to you, is mindset? I mean, mindset is something that we've been talking about since childhood, I believe. I mean, when we were a kid, if you would say something about, let's say, I don't think so, I can achieve this, mama. So your mom would say, it's all in your head. It's all about the mindset that you hold, right? Acha sochoge to acha hoga. This is something that we've been hearing all this while. So, what are your comments about the same? What exactly is mindset according to you? Do you think it is something that happens right from childhood, or do you think we develop or probably mold it? I think we have Sir on here. Sir, I can't see your video. Can I request you to turn your camera, please? Yes. Hello, sir. Warm morning. How are you?
I am good. How are you? Thanks for inviting
I am good, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So let me take this opportunity to formally introduce Sir. Mr. Deepak Kumbhat is an outsourcing and shared service leader with 20 plus years of experience in diverse sectors. The recent decade of his service includes setting up, managing, and transforming global shared service center, building shared services from scratch and then transforming it. He has also been actively engaged in setting up a state of art intelligent automation within shared service center to help organizations in real time reporting, quick decision making, and improving bottom line. The decade prior to that involved setting up and managing service delivery centers in diverse sectors in multi-centered environments, which also included transforming shops through technology intervention, etc. Mr. Kumbhat has been instrumental in devising strategies to grow businesses, ensure seamless execution and incubation of ideas for new service offerings, led transformation programs, built and led large cross functional and cross cultural teams to deliver sustained value systems in terms of quality of service, risks, information security, digital solutions, revenue impact, cost optimization, superior customer experience, and much more. So let us discover some insights of his inspiring journey. So, sir, we'll have a little of question answers round, and via that, we'll get to know more about the power of mindset. So, my
Sure.
first question to you, sir, is how has your journey been from being an associate consultant and process associate at Inox BPO to now the director global SSO at RAMBOL? So, what all transitions did you go through during these 2 decades of service in the industry?
That's a that's a very long question, but uh, definitely a very interesting one because when I was studying and then I moved on to my first job. It's only in the first year that I realized that what you learn in the books is quite different from what the real world is.
Very true.
And The process of learning does not stop when your education or your degree is complete, but the process
Right.
starts. It starts then because then you come to know the real practicalities of the word, and you can see when how the rubber hits the road and what kind of noise it makes, and then you have to make multiple adjustments. So the journey has been quite a up and down, and as I said that. I got my first job. In fact, I had two offers, and I didn't knew which to choose from because both were interesting. Then I choose one which was less paying to me because that profile seems to be more interesting. And I think that is where I took my first professional decision because all through while I was getting my degree, etc., the decisions were all supported. But when I got my first job, it is when I knew where the shoe is pinching the most, and that is where I started taking the decision. So I think the first learning that I have, as I shared, that the real learning is outside the books. That's number one. The second learning is basically start taking the decisions. Don't I mean, it might be wrong or right, but the most important thing is that you should take a decision. The
Correct.
biggest mistake we ever made is basically fearing the mistake itself,
Correct.
right?
Very true.
So that is my first learning, and then as I slowly started to grow in the organization and start to meet people, I realized that you are the average of five people that you interact with. So always keep your group very agile so that you understand that where the informations are coming from, with whom you are talking, and because that your company will impact your personality.
Correct.
And in the digital age, in last 5 years or so, I have changed that theorem or that saying that you are average of five people. Basically, you are the average of four people plus the social media that you frequently interact with, because that's a source of humongous information and that shapes your thought process.
Right.
So uh, so that was first few realization, and then I realized that it is not that people who have done well in their education are the one who succeed, but people who succeed are may not be as intelligent as you think you are.
Correct.
And it is basically self-awareness plays a very important role. Self-awareness is basically, if I define self-awareness, it is basically saying that what you know about your capability and what other interpret about your capability. Yeah,
Correct.
because you may think very high of your capability, but unless and until you brand it or you demonstrate it, in a global world, it's impossible for somebody sitting 6,000 miles away to know
Correct.
what you are capable of. So I mean, we've been, especially in the Indian culture, we've been told that you should keep your head down and let your deeds talk, and you should not market yourself or brand yourself. People, that is showing off, but that does not hold good. You
Very
must brand yourself, because that is only when people know that okay, what you can do, right?
correct.
A very big example in my initial year is I was sitting in Gurgaon, and some of the person that I interact with was sitting in US, and it is like they manages a large area. I only started doing my career, and when I traveled there in US, I have to ensure that I speak my mind out, right?
Correct.
And it is to tell them that okay, this is what I think I can do, and it is for them to decide whether they should give me that opportunity. But more likely, if you show confidence in yourself, people will give you the opportunity, and don't wait for to being a perfect, right? If you are
Correct.
ready 50-60%, grab that opportunity and learn that job, because you will never be 100% ready, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
The
And I
other,
think,
yeah,
I mean, I think by the time you think you'd be 100%, probably the opportunity that's there on your doorstep, you might lose that, and
absolutely, absolutely. And there, see, there is one important learning, that there are 100 people ready to grab that opportunity. So don't wait too long to grab that opportunity. If it is coming your way, then you should
why
grab it.
not? Right. Right.
Right?
Definitely. And
And
I think, like you said, the Indian culture talks about, सब कुछ बोलना नहीं होता, आपका काम बोलेगा. That definitely does exist. But
right,
आपका काम बोलेगा after a point when people know you. Let's say I am somebody with 50 accolades to my name, but I
right,
am nowhere. And today, the youth that is coming up, the upcoming leaders that we are building, they are all something that they will quickly grab from social media. They would not want to go take the effort of reading a newspaper per se, but if there is something on Instagram as a status or something, a story, it'll be quicker for them to do that, because that's how we've become today. We are running, literally we are running, and we want everything should come in fractions of seconds. So like they
correct,
say, if you've got it, you should flaunt it. I mean, what's wrong in that? You've done
absolutely,
that, right? You've earned it. So what is wrong in telling people what you've done? It's self branding. So if I do not really have a credibility in what I've been doing, how can I ask Mr. Deepak to endorse me if I am not confident about myself? So very
absolutely.
definitely, very rightly said, sir. Right. So, sir, moving on to the next question, I think a great, inspiring journey that you've shared so far, and I think that's the biggest thing that I love the most about your journey was when you said you had two job offers and you took the one which was less paying because it was going with the heart and the profession and what skills you wanted to explore, and not just money, because you can make money. Everybody will make money after a point of time, definitely. But then, working on something that you love would always give you wonders no matter what. And here we have you for sure.
Thank you.
So, moving on to the next question, sir. What is mindset as per you? I think I was asking this question while we were waiting for you to join in. It has been confused quite many times. I mean, children are told, but then they're not really given clarity. So, what
Mhm.
according to you is mindset? And do you think people with proactive approach always excel the ones who are probably active or per se reactive?
So my mindset is a big landscape actually, and you can define it in multiple ways. But I think when the mindset things come, I think there is one thing that comes to my mind is basically how you look at things, right?
Correct.
Normally when you start your career, you basically don't see the larger picture,
Correct.
and that is one of the learnings, that you should not focus at task. If you want to be a leader, if you want to grow in life, then you have to see it from the bigger lens, and you have
Correct.
to see what larger impact does it have on the overall picture, and not just specific things that you do. So I think the bigger picture is what to me is mindset. If I am given a task, I should not look at completing that task, just that will be a narrow mindset. The mindset is what impact does it have on the larger picture, and mind it, no job is small or big. I read a story sometime back, again on LinkedIn, and it was an interview with some of a peer leader in the industry, and he said that he was in an airline industry, right? And the flight was going from India to San Francisco, right? The flight was inspected, everything routine was done, and then midway through, the flight has to make an urgent landing. And you know the reason was? Reason was not that the fuel was incomplete or there was any technical issue. The issue was a janitor who was supposed to clean the toilet did not clean it well enough, so the toilet was choked, right?
Oh, okay.
As a result of which none of the five laboratories were working, and they have to take a detour, land it somewhere, get it fixed, and then take off. So you know the impact of a janitor cleaning a toilet has on 300 passengers on board. So
Correct.
I think when you talk about your work, then you should always think what is the upstream and downstream impact of it, and that is how you will learn to do it better. So
Right.
that is number one when I talk about the mindset. The second one, which is also very important when I talk about the big picture, is the biggest asset that you will have while you in the corporate world is not your skill set or somebody else's skill set. It is the people that you work with are more important.
Right.
Don't expect people to be where you want them to be, but meet people where they are. Because
Right.
people, I mean, you think what is priority for you may not be priority for many people, and
Right.
people in different chair will see the same thing in a different fashion. So
Right.
meet people where they are, not get them where you want them to be. So think from the people's perspective, and one of the important thing that you can make your life easy is you need to start thinking what's in there for them.
Right.
You are doing the thing because it's important to you, but while you engage somebody else or talk to somebody, you should always think what's in it for them. Unless you make that perspective, the other people mindset will not change towards your task, and that will impact how you perform, right?
Correct. Yeah, very beautifully quoted. And I think that's what it is. We usually miss on what is it for the other person. And that's when I think there is when the clashes start happening, and there are rifts that start happening because we probably think that because I want it this way, so this is the only way, right? And probably I am the one who's doing too much. I mean, people are also doing it because they are also being paid for that job. They are a part of the team. There was some talent in them that they became a part of the clutter. And I mean, of course, we do have people who are there just for the namesake. That is there in every organization, but not
Absolutely.
50 people can be wrong and only I can be right. So understanding that, I think, and stepping into the other person's shoes and understanding, I think it can resolve a lot of conflicts that happen at work, basically. That.
Absolutely. The
Right.
other learning, especially about the mindset, is when you start to work with say 10 different people, um, or maybe when you're talking about strategies and processes. The important thing about you is to start anticipating things, right?
Right.
Because when you start anticipating things, you will have a longer duration to plan yourself, and more planned and organized you are, better you will be at work.
Definitely. Definitely. So that planning has to be accompanied with action.
Yes, and I think the beauty of the corporate culture is that when you and that's I realized very hard way, but I am sharing this as a lesson, is the framework of life or the framework of what you do keep changing. When I joined the corporate world, the framework of life was pretty simple. I used to do what I was asked to do, and I will speak what I think is right, right?
Hmm.
But as you progress in your career, the framework becomes very complex. People
Right.
expect that you will do things on your own. It is
Hmm.
not that what you have been asked to do. If you only do that, then it becomes a problem, right?
Definitely.
So people expect that you should do lot of things on your own and be proactive. As you said,
Right.
proactive really helps you grow further. And
Right.
as Steve Jobs put it, he puts it very beautifully. It does not make sense to hire smart people and tell them what to do. hire smart people so that they can tell you what to do. And that
Correct.
is what the corporate worlds always expect you to do, because they are paying you, they are hired you from different backgrounds, they have validated you, and they expect you to fill the gaps that they have in the organization. And it
Definitely.
becomes more important in this current context where the technology landscape is really sweeping through and taking away lot of initiatives that the organizations is currently doing. They may
Correct.
become redundant in the future. For example, if I talk about the robotic process automation, so when I started the career, robotic process automation was not there. Now it is there. And the you guys, for example, when you join the organization, you will not be exposed to it. So how will you work with the machines working parallel to you is very important.
Correct.
Most of the people in the organization are once they are, say for example, if I talk about somebody in my team, most of the people keep doing their jobs that they are hired for, but they fail to understand that those jobs does not exist or become redundant, and they will only be appreciated if they start filling the gaps that is being created by entering of new technology, and how do you interact with that technology.
Hmm.
So
Def-
these are all, I mean, these are all broader aspects of mindset, and you
correct.
must keep the bigger environment in consideration while talking about the mindset.
Definitely. I think very beautifully quoted. I mean, it's your canvas of your life. You would want to know that what is and with what colors would you want to paint it, and how big would you want your vision board to be. I mean, it's right over here. I can have this little a vision board. I can have this little, big a vision board. It's right there if I have the confidence. And like you said, I think there's a great learning here that people today in the organization, there are a number of people. We don't, I
True.
mean, there is not dearth of people out there, but there is dearth of skillable people out there. We do have, I mean, employment opportunities, but are they really employable? Do they have those employability skills? I think that is the biggest question and the biggest gap that the industry is facing today. And people should be self driven. I mean, nobody would want to do that carrot and donkey approach all the time, right? Why would they want to apply that when there are people who are self driven and they know what to do? And of course, you have to be an asset to the company because the company is investing in you. So if your organizational goals and individual goals are not aligned, probably you're not in a right fit there. I mean, there is a mismatch right in the beginning. And why would your boss always would want to call you and rant you and nag you, and then you complain my boss always keeps nagging me? If you are
Correct.
self-driven, if you can probably set an example, so like we talk about leading by example, so what's bad in that?
Right.
I mean,
And
come to me. Yeah, right. Yes,
going back to your point that it is your initiative, your proactiveness. So I give you a live example. So I was managing a team, say, of 500 people, and I have many reporting managers under me. And we were going through this process where we were to send people to different locations in Europe, and we were hiring people on those lines. So we hired one person, and we one of the criterias was he should have a passport, right? So we hired that person, and that person, and then in the process we were sending. There were some few things which was happening, which was delaying the things. In the process, the manager lost track of many people who'd been hired, and they were just picking few people here and there and then sending it across. So after 4 months, a person came to me that Deepak, I have been hired by this manager saying that I will need to travel, and I'm waiting that he has not come to me. My first question was, it is important. Just give me a second.
sure, sure, no problem. So while we get Sir back on air, I would like to ask my audiences. So, what is your mindset towards life? Are you always somebody who's very positive and a never giving up attitude, or are you somebody who's like go with the flow and let's see what life has to offer, or do you usually give up? So, I would like my audience to give something in the comment section. What is exactly your mindset towards life? Or the bigger picture, as we call your life canvas, how would you want to paint it?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes. No
So
problem.
basically, this person came to me and said that Deepak, I have been hired with the saying that I need to have passport and I will need to travel soon. But I was waiting and nobody has approached me, neither my manager nor anybody else. I said, uh, if you were told that you will be traveling, then you waited. But did you make an effort to go and get in touch with that manager? He said,
Yes.
no, I did not. So I said, then whose it is your agenda, your progress and your life is nobody's agenda. It's a very mechanical word, and there are a lot of priorities that your managers will have. So if you think that there is something that you need to check, or you need to find a solution, or you need to tell an idea, then people who are proactive and approach those, that they are the only one who wins, right?
Right.
A,
Definitely.
a real life example which happened with my son. He was in 10th standard, and he I knew he one day came running to me, dad, I did not get selected for the inter school debate competition, right? So I was quite surprised because he has been doing well in the debate competition and he is always participating. So in curiosity I asked, what happened. So he said that teachers have changed, and she nominated people who approached her. So it is very clear that the best person in the or the best person to do the job may not get the job because that's a big word. So it is that you need to always proactive, and that's also talks about your mindset and your confidence.
Definitely. I think very beautifully quoted. And this was something I was chatting up with a friend last night. So I was talking about this thing only, I said, life gives so much. It's not always a cakewalk. It is definitely a roller coaster. You'll have highs and lows and a mix of feelings. Sometimes you would want to not give up at all, come what may. Sometimes you feel a little low key and would want somebody to tap on your shoulder. So I said,
Yeah.
blaming, like when we talk about the blame game per se, I said it's very easy. I can blame the environment. I couldn't come up to your wedding because the weather did not allow. It's easy to blame things around or people around, but did I make an effort? I could have probably done something about it. Maybe I could have started 30 minutes early for the destination, or probably I would have planned the trip day before, or I would have done something. But did I even try? Just because I saw the weather is not fine and my heart wanted, I don't want to go, so I blame it to the weather. I mean, of course, the situations can be tougher. It's easy to transform and shift the blame. But what did you exactly do? That's the biggest question. And I experienced the same when I mentor my trainees. So when they tell me, "Ma'am, interview तो बहुत अच्छा गया, सब कुछ किया मैम, सब जो उन्होंने पूछा था ऐसे किया वैसे किया." So I then question them, तुमने effort किया था? Did you even try to convince the other person? नहीं मैम, वो मन नहीं कर रहा था मैम, वो it was a little boring ma'am, I thought probably I was not the right fit. So वो give up attitude and then blaming करा तो सब कुछ था, कितना अच्छे से किया था, that's the biggest question.
It reminds me of a quote which says, when you talk about the environment, it says the same boiling water that softens a potato hardens the egg. So it
Right.
is not wrong in the water, but how you are as a person and how you take things.
How you take things. Very beautifully said, sir. Lovely. So, moving on to the next question. With information overload and numerous sources available on the web, there comes a lot of misleading information today. And usually it's OHT, the overhead transmission game that people usually blame. So, what are your suggestions in that particular case? So, what should one do if one doesn't understand the skill or a concept, or one wishes to learn, but then there is no way out, or probably they're so stuck right in their mind they think they can't do it for a thing like, let's say, driving. I've almost learned it twice. I've learned it from a professional. I've done a drive session with my dad. Still I don't get the confidence. I don't know, it's somewhere there in my head. I think I can't drive. So I mean, what is your perspective to that? How can one change it?
See, of course, today we kind of live in a world where there's a lot of information available, and we live in a world where the information is bombarded on us, right?
Right.
We are not pulling the information, but it has been pushed on us. The moment you start the web, and say, for example, if you are looking for a shoe and you have picked on certain shoes, the next time you go in, irrespective of the different topic that you're looking for, that shoe
You
ads
will
will
look.
come. come against you, because this is an intelligent world
Right.
now, and that is what you need to be very careful on. And what makes it important here is that you should very early in your career identify mentors for you,
Right.
because there is an overload of information. People are selling things and everybody is saying that this is the best product or this is the best thing to do, and behind the curtains they may have mollified intentions, right?
Right.
Say for example, if I have a product which I need to sell, then I will sell all goody things about the product. It
Correct.
is only the experienced person who can tell you if it is good or not. So it is very important that you should have a mentor very early. There can be multiple mentors, and it can be life mentor, it can be work related mentor, because mentoring is very important for you when you are bombarded with information,
Very
right?
true. Very rightly said. Definitely. And
So,
I think that
yeah, and if you don't have a mentor, then you will more likely to fail uh, uh, than people who have mentors, right? And I will use this Hindi quote once कि ता उम्र ता उम्र मैं यही गलती करता रहा, ता उम्र यही गलती करता रहा गालिब, कि धूल चेहरे पे थी, मैं आईना साफ करता रहा,
very beautifully said.
right?
Lovely. Right.
Because you see, if you're not experienced, you will not know what is wrong and right. There are a lot of people who will be guiding you, misguiding you rather, and you will have to take a lot of guidance actually to move forward. People, and it is not that the mentor should be very senior. It You can learn a lot from your peers on what they are doing. Don't make the mistakes all on your own, but learn from other mistakes is very important.
Definitely. I think very beautifully quoted. And I'm sure people out there who are hearing us out are getting a lot of learnings here. And they will now start thinking, probably, was it the mindset that was giving me troubles, or was it me who, I mean, was it the situation? So they would be able to, identify that thin line between the situation vis-a-vis, did I even try or no? Very, very rightly and beautifully said, sir. So,
Yeah.
moving on to the next question, since we were talking about technology and technology sweeping and taking off almost everything, so a lot of rebuilding and upscaling done by you in the shared service center involves technology, as we were talking at large. So, do you think AI can replace human intelligence altogether in the near future? I mean, this has been a topic of debate from times immemorial.
Right. So, of course, when we talk to the students and we talk about 10 years from now, of course, technology will take on lot of jobs, and possibly what we are studying today may not be of that relevance in 10 years of time. So, of course, AI will replace lot of jobs, but on the positive side, it will create lot of jobs, right?
Correct.
One of the research studies says that in next 10 years, AI will take possibly 79 million jobs worldwide, but it will create 100 million new jobs.
Lovely.
So
That's nice.
that is something basically which we you need to keep in mind, because upskilling will only be the thing that you need to do. The best way to upskill yourself is to unlearn what you have done and learn new things. The
Correct.
moment you stop learning new things, I think you will become redundant.
Very true. Very true. And nobody would want that obsolete product. I mean,
Yes.
something that's already obsolete and one off. Nobody would want that. Be it a thing, be it something materialistic, or be it a human being. Everything today is an asset. So why would you want your value to probably depreciate? You would always want it to increase and increase.
And a very interesting example somebody told me, like when we were getting married or when there was a cricket match happening. Imagine we are in 2022. Imagine when we were in 2010 or 2012, right? How will you record those matches? What used to happen? How will you take different angles? So there will always be an helicopter and a cameraman onto it, right?
Right.
But in 10 years, we are sitting now in 2022, both helicopter and the cameraman has lost their job because there is now drone,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you
Definitely.
don't, so you might be learning to ride a helicopter and maybe use the camera, but be ready to use a drone.
Definitely. I think very nicely said. It's about the attitude building and it's about the bigger picture. If your lens is big enough and it gives you a wider picture, I think one cannot fall short of jobs because it's about the skills. If the skills that you have are trainable much, you can be fit into different roles. I might be an MA English literature student, but at the same time, I do multiple things and I can ensure that I am a well fit there. So it's about, being trainable, being flexible, being open, like we talk
Right,
about.
right,
Definitely.
right. Absolutely.
So moving on to the next question, sir. Since we are talking about change and that change is the only constant, what's one change you made recently to become a better learner? Because I'm sure if you would be able to state one such example, we have plenty of young people out there who still got so much to do in life, they will get inspired.
Right. So the one change that I did to my lifestyle recently is basically um, it's basically it's not a change as such, but since I am a person who has 20 years of experience, there is a lot of things to do, and at times in this time you get very stressful, right? And this pandemic period of 2 years have only kind of increased that stress level, because you're not able to meet a lot of people because of the restrictions, etc. So basically what you need to do is to learn a lot of things, as in you need to invest in your hobbies and time for yourself, right? So if you are not able to devote time for yourself in terms of relaxing yourself or giving yourself an opportunity to think on what you're doing, later or sooner you will become very very mechanical and you will lose that charm and energy in your life. So that is one thing that I have tried to adjust in last 2 years. I have taken up various hobbies. For example, I cycle around a lot these days, which I was not doing because that was like something I didn't get a time. But now that I have less of commuting, less of international travel, that gives me an opportunity to invest in myself and see how the things are different. So when I start, so basically it is also relating to your success criteria. So when I started cycling, the intent with which I started cycling is I need to get fit, because of the COVID I was not able to do a lot of things. I was sitting at home and getting weights, etc. So when I started cycling, the first intent was I should do X number of kilometers. Then the other was I should start finding tracks where I could cycle. When I matured to 3 4 months of time, I realized that I just enjoy cycling in the forest tracks, and that enjoyment and that refreshness it gives me kind of boosted my energy to do lot of things. And since you cycle on a forest tracks where there are less people, you get calm, you get away from Wi-Fi, you get away from distractions. So those are the things that you start to think and take time for yourself. And I think that is what will help you in long term, because it's a very stressful life at the top. You there are more enemies than friends and peers, and you just need to calm yourself. Take a disconnected days, go somewhere where Wi-Fi is weak and sun is strong.
Very beautifully said. Again,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is something that we need today. We're talking about the world of AI taking over almost human intelligence with maybe creating more job opportunities. But then we all know that AI somewhere has taken the sweetness and those little happy moments that we used to otherwise enjoy when there was no Wi-Fi, no internet, no Instagram, Snapchat, and whatnot that people literally waste their time upon. I mean, I today when I see the youth out there, even if they have their doctor's appointment, So
Yeah.
probably they should be waiting in the queue, thinking about what exactly, or probably read a book or a catalog or something. They will be found swiping, and it just
Correct.
goes endless, and the restlessness probably increases with the wait time in the queue. So literally,
Absolutely.
I think taking out time is important. And I think
Yeah.
certain companies these days are talking about self-care days as well. So there was a colleague of mine who once declared that, their office, if for example I want to call in sick, so instead of calling myself in sick, I can say this is my self-care day leave that I want to take. And the office does allow that. So I think
Right.
that is a great initiative, and we should realize that thing.
And offices, the corporate culture is now very flexible. They are very empathetic, more empathetic than they were before the pandemic. And I think we should use it to our benefit, right?
Definitely.
Important thing is the most important learning, if I say in the last 2 years, is how to invest time for yourself and how to manage your time well. I think we should give sufficient time for ourselves, because if we are caught in a rut, then it becomes very difficult to get out, right, of that rut. And if you keep doing what you are doing, then you are more likely to fail than succeed, because you will be trapped in that, right? And there is lot of information bombardment, and it is important that you keep yourself out of the social media for a longer duration. When you get up in the day, try to get up early, sleep early, get up early, and give before you start. So I normally get up at around 5:15, 5:30, and I start my day at 9:30, 10. So by the time I start my day, I already have 4 to 5 hours for myself, where I do a lot of reading, I do lot of exercising, having good breakfast, and having good coffee with my family. So that allows me to relax, and when I start my day, I can start fresh, right? And that is no magic formula, but the only consistency is the only thing that will change you.
Definitely. Very nicely said, sir. So, since we're talking about change and flexibility, how can one deal with obstinate habits and behavior, especially the resistance that comes with age? I mean, after a certain age, people just shut their ears and they don't want to listen. I mean, you tell them whatever, they'll become so adamant that nahi, ye nahi hoga, especially the elderly in the family. So, what about
Mhm.
these obstinate behaviors and habits? How can we work on those?
So everybody has a habit and some might be good, some might be bad, and you should focus on habit which is your strength, right? Your weak habits will not take you anywhere, but it is your ability or your strengths which will take you forward, right?
Correct.
The important thing is have to stop giving others chance to make a decision on your behalf, right? Your career is nobody's agenda. So basically you should think. And if you have lack of experience, say for example, when I joined, when I said that I had two job offers at the beginning of the career, but I choose one which is low paying. I didn't have the experience, so how did I do that, right? It is your inner voice. I think listen to your inner voice, because that is what is important to start in your career and also during your career. At some point of time, you need to converge your inner voice to a point where your work become your passion, right?
Right.
Find so there are, and don't be restricted to what you are educated in. Education is just a passport. You need to earn your visa. So there
Right.
are a lot of people in the different industries who are like either chartered accountants or MBAs or maybe even IITs. But if you look at their current profile, I mean, for example, I am impressed with Harsha Bhogle. He is an IIT IIM, but he is doing a cricket commentary for many years now. So it is your education is your grooming, but don't restrict yourself to that particular field, because that is not you want to do. The day you learn to make your passion your purpose, or your purpose your passion, you will be better off, and you
Right.
will start to propel in your life, because what you are doing today is basically should come from within rather than somebody saying that let's do it, because when somebody says that do it and you have to do it, then that quality will never come.
Right, definitely. And I think, like you said, that's that education, that particular degree, that is just a qualification criteria for you to be eligible to sit in that job interview. Whether you'll
Correct.
be able to crack it post that, do you have those skills? Are you the right fit? Would automatically be, what skills do you hold and how open are you to learn more and more? That learner's attitude should not die, come what may. Definitely.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
sir, since we were talking about COVID and stress and how life was taken to a toll, so with COVID having become a global pandemic, its effects are still spottable. A nephew of mine who, started off his formative years right in front of a laptop or a tablet, did not even, I mean, probably now also, I'm not too sure if he knows what exactly is a school, and that, all those childhood memories that you and I shared when we, as kids were asked to go to school, we would, make excuses and whatnot, and probably say it's my stomach that's paining or I have a headache or whatever. So
Yeah.
his world has revolved around the tablet, and he doesn't really know what exactly school is. So what I usually observe in his classes is that he's usually bored and probably not interested in what is happening, not really engaged. So any suggestions on how can a child's mindset be driven that little age?
Right. So, uh, child mindset is very tentative, and it gets molded the moment you expose them to a certain environment. And important thing is they pick up a lot of things from not what you speak but what you do. So
Right.
start doing things and starts. I think the biggest asset to somebody which we can give, and that lot we have realized a lot after the pandemic, is the attention. I think attention is the most beautiful gift that we can give to somebody. And today, the problem is the attention is divided. When even when you're talking to your parents or your children or your spouse, you will always be interrupted with your notification, your mobile phones, and other things. So I think you should keep all that away while you're talking to people. Give them full attention, because if you give attention, then people will start interacting with you, and they will feel that okay, you are really interested in them, and that is how you will grow. So one important instance that I can tell you, which just happened few months back, is we just started going to office in December, January, and I was interacting with one of my team members who does not directly report into me, but she has some problems, so she wants to speak to me,
Right.
right? And I have my phone placed on the desk, and we were kind of talking very intensely on something, and then the phone rang, and I kind of disconnected it. It rang the second time, I disconnected it. So she said, Deepak, will you like to pick that? I think somebody is trying to reach you. I think I don't know who is trying to reach me. It's an unknown number. It may be important, may not be important, but what I know is what we are talking is more important for sure. And that is how I didn't pick up the phone. And later I came to know from my direct reports that she was very appreciative of the attention that I gave him and not get interrupted by the phone calls which was coming to me.
Correct.
So I think the most how we can curate somebody's mind is just by giving the attention. Don't let your attention fall. Always give your attention to somebody. You will have a lot of knowledge to share, but that's not important. The most important thing to engage with somebody is to give attention.
Right, definitely. And yesterday only I was out with a friend of mine. So I was talking to her about special education. So I was telling her that in our country we have people, especially young children with a lot of disabilities in terms of learning. A, the parents are not open enough to identify that. B, if even if somebody guides them, helps them identify, the acceptance is really a problem. Then C, they don't have the resources to get them educated in a certain manner like special education should go. And schools today do not have that curriculum which is interlinked device wherein they can get special education while they are with the other students, or probably schools do not have the funds to hire special educators. So
Mhm.
this is what I was talking. I said with these special people, if you give them the right attention, they can do wonders like how. But if they miss on the attention, you will find them as the most chilled out, laid back people who do not know what is happening, because they want that attention. And like you said, that little attention, that little extra effort that we make can probably change their life.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And I mean, when we were growing, possibly Mahima, there was very predefined paths that people were used to take. Either you can become a doctor, you can become an engineer, you can become an
Right.
educator. But with today's generation, whatever field you are studying, it does not really matter what you become tomorrow, because there
Right.
is so much to do. So, for
Correct.
example, my kid who is in 12th standard today, initially he wanted to become an engineer. After 6 months of coaching, he realized that this is not an area of interest. He possibly like to do designing or something, and he's switched field into the designing. Today, after giving the competition exam, he realized that I may qualify, but I may not qualify. Then what will happen? That I said, I know that you are very dedicated, you are giving your best effort, so don't worry about what will happen if the result does not go your way. There are
Right.
so many things to do in the world that you are not confined to a particular journey. You can always change your journey, and I know that over a period of time you will find things and succeed also. So don't get too much panicked on what I want to do. That's a small thing. This
Right.
is not life. Life is much bigger than what you think it is.
Exactly. And I think this is a very strong message that we can give to the parents out there. If this little statement from the parents can actually reach the child, I think half the stress that they take and half the performance pressure that they really have can just go away. And it's like you said, you in your own way clearly told him to not be disoriented in terms of what is his goal. You told him that he's dedicated, so that is something that's important. He can do whatever if that dedication and that willingness to do something is there. So
Mm.
definitely he would find his area of forte, and then he will excel for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Very
Yep.
rightly said, sir. So moving on to the next question, I used to talk with again a friend of mine. We always used to, whenever there would be something disappointing or something that was, something that we had not desired for but happened. So we would say each other, it's all in the mind. So this was a very famous movie dialogue. I think somewhere from PK, I'm not too sure. So it's all in your head, is what they say. But the struggle is, it is actually there, right, stuck in your head. So sometimes it's too dark to come out of the situation or the thought that one is stuck with. So, what should one do when the mind is not ready to move from its place?
I think there is to one of my mentee, I was telling her that, and she was very disappointed on some of the things that happens in her corporate world and around it. So I said, listen, you got disappointed. It's a reaction. Remaining disappointed is a choice, right?
Right.
Because I mean, of course, when you aspire for something and that does not happen, you will get disappointed. But what's beyond that? People will not worry about that you are disappointed and this does not happen to you, because your life is just only a part of the bigger story that they drive today. So,
Correct.
remaining disappointed is the biggest flip side or biggest failure that you should have. You should get over with the learning that you have from that failure and start moving ahead, right?
Right.
Because I have seen people getting depressed, people getting really angry around what is happening, and then start to take actions in anger. So don't do that. And that is where your guidance is most important. And that is where you should have people whom you can talk, the mentors that you can talk. I think the biggest asset that I have earned in these 20 years, that I always had a good peer group in the office. And
Right.
somebody, you said what you should do and how you should move ahead. I think the biggest thing is you should always have somebody whom you can speak freely, right? Without thinking that what will happen, and you can't say this to him. You should always have some person whom you can speak freely with, and let your mind go. Once you have spoken your heart out, then sometimes we kind of overthinking also kills, right? And once you start speaking to somebody, and when you've spoken to somebody, then those words echo back in your ears, and you realize, that's the thing that I was basically should do. And you don't really need a guidance from somebody, but once it's out of your mouth, and it gets into your ear, sometimes you get an idea, but all you need is an opportunity to vent things out. And that
Right.
is what also we try to create as a culture in a corporate environment as well. So for example, we have various informal forums, we have fun Fridays, we have also town halls, we have one-to-one sessions. And so you are wondering that with same people, why are you giving so many windows to speak? Because the one shoe size does not fit all. So one person might be able to speak in a town hall, one person might be only able to open up in your one-on-ones. And that is why you should, one, the organization is making an effort giving you that forum, but then again, you as a person should find your mentors, your peer group, and your person whom you can speak freely, to get quickly out of that mind, or where the things are pulling you down, right?
Right.
I mean, it has to, more importantly, the resolve has come to you from you, right? You know yourself best and what you can do. So do away with anything that is pulling you down. And I give you a very valid example, a relatable example from the sporting industry, and the cricketer we all know and fond of, Sachin Tendulkar, right?
Hmm.
It was possibly in early 90s or late 2000 that he was out of form, right? He was getting out with a very string of low scores. That was a series against Australia, and possibly he had gone out with a very double digit, less than a double digit number in 3 4 innings. And in one of the last test match, he played around 400 plus balls, but he did not play a single cover drive, which is his favorite drive or his favorite shot. And then in the post match session, somebody asked you that we realized that you are not playing your character. You were not trying to cover drive, and you ended up making 200 plus runs. So
Right.
what was going in your mind? So he said that I was very dejected with the low score of forms, but I knew within myself that this is all temporary. And while I spoke to my coach, while I spoke to my technical staff, they suggested some change in the techniques. But I also realized that this is the shot that is getting me out. So for entire 400 balls and around 16 hours, he did not play. So it is your basically inner voice and your ability or willpower to proceed, that you will stop doing something which has failed you, and then you will propel, right?
Definitely. Right. And I think that inner voice would never tell you something that is wrong. I mean, trusting your own gut, your own will. And like we talk about the model of, with duty comes responsibility, and with responsibility comes accountability. So if you can stand up to your actions and, stay, be accountable for, and not just shift here and there, I think you have the world to you. Like we were talking in the initial start of the session about decision making. So if you are
Decision.
prompt enough to make decisions, I think that can
and
take you
and
along.
and sometimes when you are depressed and you are thinking about few things and some ideas comes to you, then please at least give it a try. Speak to the people. There will be people who will try to say that, okay, no, this will not work. But if you think that will work, then let's do it. If you really feel that this is something that you can do, then please don't listen to people. Sometimes people are just talking more logical, and only logic does not work. So, like, there is a word called transformation. So what you think was impossible, now you think is possible. So if John Brothers have not taken an initiative to have first flight, nobody thought that you can even fly in the sky. Right?
Correct.
Transformation will only happen when it comes from the inner thing, and somebody, when you start doing something different, people will always say that, oh no, this is, he's a fool, how do you think this can happen? So you should let's not somebody drive you and kill your ideas before it sees the sun, right?
Correct. It could be a great invention you do not know, and then having your name to it. That those people who were fooling you around in the initial start when it was in its baby stage would then
Yeah,
come and tap you. I was a part of that idea. So it does
absolutely,
happen. Correct.
absolutely. Yeah,
So moving on to the second last question, since we are running short of time, sir. So we talk about tags, and tags are meant to be put on apparels. Yet people these days love putting tags on their peers and colleagues. So to say sometimes so worse that the whole personality of an individual changes. So how
yeah,
can one pop up that stereotype bubble which almost gets cemented in one's head? Hearing so much from almost everybody around at workplace.
correct. I think this is very valid because sometimes what happens is we are all working for a benefit case, and if I know that one person is good at something, then I keep giving that person that particular task. Right? I
Correct.
have a very practical example that really happened. One of the team members, which we know that is the right fit for a particular job, we kept giving him that job, and he and the other people who are not that deserving were given other opportunities because we want to try that out. So I mean, he came to me one day saying that, Deepak, I know that you trust me and that is why you've been giving me this job, but I also want to try a different job, right? And a different profile. So I said, but then we can't offer you different profile because this will suffer. Then he said that, okay, I know that it will be a very tough job. He was working for a country called Middle East, and we there was an opportunity in Europe that he wants to work for, and he has to travel to, say, for example, Denmark to do that work, and he has to be there for 3 months. So he said, I know what I am talking, and I'm going to talk. You may not like it, or you may feel that it will be very difficult for me, but I will manage two time zones. I will keep doing what I am doing for Middle East, but I will ensure that I will also learn what is going in Denmark. And he used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to attend a Middle East call, and will end the day at around 9 o'clock Denmark time to and balance the both things. So of course there is a stereotyping. People think that you can only do particular job, and they may not let you do the other job, but it is again your prerogative, your proactiveness, that was basically allow you to get. So you need to decide, you need to take the initiatives. Nothing that comes easy to you. You will have to fight out for it, and you will have to put lot of hard work.
Correct.
People, to successful people don't see the all the hard work they have gone through. Recent example, and there was lot of news about Lata Mangeshkar because she went heavenly. So not many people realize that she, for the initial 50 songs, she was rejected. She was always screened. She was audio testing was given, but then people said you have a very thin voice, so she was rejected. But she kept doing what she is good at. So you should keep doing what you are good at. You should always think from your perspective, because you know, or you know what is your strength, and that is how you will propel. Operational excellence is very important thing, and I think you should keep doing what you are good at, but you should not hesitate in trying different things, because if you think you can do it, then you can do it actually. if
Exactly.
if
That's
if so people will try to say that no, this is very unorthodox, or this is not something. So you should, it is not that whenever you talk to people they will give you the right opinion. A very interesting story that I was reading is if Henry Ford would have asked people what next do they want, they people would have possibly said that they want a stronger horse. But since he thought and he devised those cars, those are so beautiful. So people
Right.
only know what. So people will only know from you from the work that you do. So unless you start doing different things, they keep you in that channel because that they think is your only capability.
Correct. It is like what you bring to the table, you have to keep that game stronger. And if you can have multiple things to offer, so why not? You will be
Right.
given the opportunities and the bubbles can be, popped up. Definitely. So, sir, moving on to the last question, what is that one message you'd like to give to the budding leaders and the professionals who are already doing their best at work but still want to excel and stand out of the crowd, especially in terms of the life mantra for having a powerful mindset?
Yeah. I think the one that I have mentioned earlier is always keep time for yourself. Always give couple of hours every day to yourself where you are with you, nobody else is around, and you kind of evolve your thoughts and do what you like the best because that will keep you fresh. Second thing is always care about people. People are the only asset other than the books. More you learning is from the people those are around you. So keep your company very appropriate. Five peoples that you should have, it can define a lot in your career. And third is always keep an open mind. Don't go with a closed mind that this is it, because what you know may not be the entire story. There is a lot of things happening beyond you and your knowledge and experience. So keep things open. Try it. Don't shy away from failures because failure does not define you. What defines you is the opportunity that you are taking.
Correct. Very, very nicely said, sir. And I'm sure people out there who are hearing us out would definitely get inspired and would make their mindset so strong that nobody can probably stop them. And then sky is the limit for people like them and like you for sure. So I must admit, sir, that your life journey and your successful achievements in career speaks volumes about your work. We've all had plenty of takeaways and actionables to take home. Wishing you huge success, love, and luck your way. Thank you so, so much for joining in today. It was an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure.
Right.
Thank
And just a last message that if
you. Yes,
somebody wants to get in touch with me or some have questions, then I have my LinkedIn handle. So you can always reach out to me and I'll try to help whatever I can.
definitely. I think that is a great option that people would have and they would love to learn and connect with you.
All
Looking
right.
forward to this session, sir.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you
Bye.
so much. Thank you. Have a great day, sir.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining in, everybody. Stay tuned for further sessions as well. Thank you.